Hi there, this is Ranjit, and just yesterday I got the review unit of the RealMe Y2 4GB RAM model that will be launching soon in India. I believe this is going to launch in India on June 18th, and I have this one in this silver color, which is a new color, but again it will also be available in the black one. This is the black one, the 6GB one that I have, and also in the red one. And so instead of doing a regular video, I decided to do a comparison video because many of you guys keep asking me almost every day which is the best overall smartphone in the price band of about 10 to 12,000. So I decided to do a practical comparison, and I have chosen the RealMe. This is the Redmi Y2. This is priced at 10,000. I also selected the Honor 7C because this was also just launched last month, and this is priced for 10,000. And we'll also be including the Asus Zenfone Max Pro because this one, the base variant, is also priced at about 11,000. So I want to do a very practical comparison. So I've divided this comparison into 10 different practical points which might be useful for you as a normal consumer. And yes, I've also included the camera test, so I'll be showing you the camera sample side by side so that you can judge for yourself which one is doing a better job in which situation. So let's get on with the comparison. So guys, let's start the comparison, and I have all the smartphones with me, but before we start, I just wanted to show you the color difference between the 4GB. This is the silver color, and as you can see, the black one had that diamond pattern on this RealMe One, whereas this is known as the silver one, does not have that. Now moving to the screen quality on these one, which I feel is actually very important because screen is what you interact with these device. Here I would say the Zenfone Max Pro and the RealMe One would get my vote because yes, all these four different smartphones are having almost the same screen size, 5.99 and 6-inch screen, so not a huge difference in 18:9 aspect ratio. But in terms of actual screen resolution, the Y2 and the Honor 7C are actually just having a 720p HD plus screen, whereas the RealMe One and the Zenfone Max Pro actually are having a proper full HD plus screen. Now let's move to one another important thing, that is the chipset what is used in these smartphones. And in fact, all of these four smartphones have different chipsets in them, so that is something that is you guys need to know. And let's start from the weakest to the strongest. I would say this Honor 7C is having a Snapdragon 450 SoC. It's not a bad system on chip, but again, it's not the most powerful, I would say. Whereas the Redmi Y2 is having the Snapdragon 625 chipset. It's not a bad chipset, but again, it's slightly old now, almost 2 years old. The Asus Zenfone Max Pro is having the relatively new Snapdragon 636 chipset, and the RealMe One is having the Helio P60 chipset, and I feel this is the most powerful one. What I did is I ran Antutu benchmarks on all these smartphones. So let me show you the scores actually. And where did I? Yeah, here it is. And let me show you the scores so that you can have a very rough idea regarding the performance of these smartphones. And as you can see, huge difference that you are seeing in the scores. This is the Honor 7C, 72,000 we got. This is the Redmi Y2, which is having the Snapdragon 625. Not a huge difference if you see. This is just about 78, you can say 79,000. This Zenfone Max Pro is having the Snapdragon 636. So it did a lot better if you compare even with the, Redmi Y2. But again, this RealMe got the highest score because of the Helio P60 chipset, which is a very powerful chipset, 1,40,000. And guys, this is the 4GB RAM variant. So that's what we got. And if you go in individual scores also, these are the scores. But overall, I would say these two are the most powerful. The most powerful is the RealMe One, clearly by a huge margin. And again, this is sort of important, guys. I am not a firm believer of benchmarks, but again, the RealMe One has almost twice the performance of the Redmi Y2 and significantly faster even than the Zenfone, and that makes a difference in the long run. If the processor is fast, the phone will age a lot better. And again, now moving to another important thing is regarding the Wi-Fi band. Again, all of these smartphones support Wi-Fi, but I was surprised to see that 5 GHz Wi-Fi implementation was lacking in most of the phones. For example, let's test this. This is a small app that you can actually install on your phone also. Let me show you the name of the app. It's known as the Wi-Fi 5G support. You can install that and check if your phone has Wi-Fi 5 GHz. As you can see on the 7C, it says not supported. I also ran it on this one. And this on the Y2 also, it's not supported. Zenfone Max Pro, let's check that. Here also it's not supported. And let's finally check on the RealMe. Let's just go here. And as you can see, it's supported. The 5 GHz Wi-Fi band is supported on this. So the RealMe One actually supports both the 2.4 GHz and the faster 5 GHz Wi-Fi band. So that is also something that you need to note. Generally, many of the budget phones skip on the 5 GHz band, but we find that on the RealMe One. Now moving to another important thing, that is what is the actual glass protection provided on these smartphones. Let's start with the Honor 7C. I couldn't get the details about this, so I'm not very sure if this has Gorilla Glass. The Redmi Y2 does not have any sort of Gorilla Glass protection. And I also checked with the Asus team, and even the Zenfone Max Pro does not have Gorilla Glass protection. Whereas this Realme One actually is having Gorilla Glass 3. So that is also important point. Now moving to another thing which is actually going to become very important, and not many users are actually checking that when they are buying new smartphones. Does your smartphone support true dual 4G VoLTE? Yes, it's not the most important as of now, but within a year, trust me guys, this will become a very important factor. And sadly, the Honor 7C and even the Redmi Y2 simply do not support true dual 4G VoLTE, whereas the Zenfone Max Pro and even the Realme One do support true dual 4G VoLTE. So that is also an important point, I would say, in your consideration if you plan to use the phone for more than a year, because after a year or so, I feel true dual 4G VoLTE will become very, very important in India. Now moving to another thing is regarding the fingerprint scanner, and clearly here I would say the Realme fails because it does not have the physical fingerprint scanner. It relies on face unlocking, and they have made some improvement to the face unlocking. Also, I applied the new update. I'll talk about that later. But in terms of what fingerprint, I would say if I have to pick a winner, I would say the Honor 7C has a very fast fingerprint scanner. So it's very good, the fingerprint scanner. And obviously these smartphones also have the face unlocking. And even the Redmi Y2's fingerprint scanner is actually really fast. So in terms of fingerprint scanner, I would give the vote to this. The Asus Zenfone Pro also has the fingerprint scanner on the back, as you can see, but it is relatively a little bit slow compared to these two. So in terms of fingerprint scanner, the Honor 7C and the Redmi Y2 do a far better job. Realme One simply does not have a physical fingerprint scanner, and it relies on face unlocking. As you can see, I bring my face and it unlocks. And now with the new update, if you close your eyes, it will not unlock. Only when you open your eyes, it will unlock. So again, it misses on the fingerprint scanner. Now moving to, let me just unlock this device and also this one. And now moving to build quality. Here I was so surprised with the results. Let's start with the Honor 7C. The good thing with Honor 7C is that the back is actually metallic. The top part and the bottom part is for antennas for reception. But this is actually metallic, and it looks good in the build quality, I would say. Pretty stylish. From the back actually it looks a lot premium. It's simple, but it looks premium. But now if we move to the Redmi Y2, and in terms of looks, this one also looks very good. In fact, from the back, actually it resembles the Redmi Note 5 Pro, and you might assume that the back is actually metallic, but guys, I was surprised that it's not metallic. This is just a paint job over a plastic casing. I in fact scraped it with a knife over here, and this is actually plastic. So it's just a paint job that looks like a metallic. The back is actually plastic. So I'm disappointed by this one, because you feel like it is like a metallic, but it is not metallic and it is plastic. So I just feel it is not that premium. It's because it's having a plastic back. But in terms of looks, yeah, it looks good, but definitely it's not metal, it's plastic, guys. Now moving to the Zenfone Max Pro, this in terms of looks pretty bland, I would say. This top area is plastic and bottom area is plastic for antenna reception, but the back is actually metal. So that is a good thing. Now moving to the Realme One, They don't say it is metal or what. It is actually plastic. Actually, it's fiberglass that you are getting on this one. So that's what it is regarding the build quality. In terms of looks, it's a subjective, I would say. Which one do you like? I personally, this is the silver color. Personally, I've heard a lot of people are liking this black color variant of the Realme One, because if you tilt it, it gives that different patterns. But again, it's also sort of a fingerprint magnet. Another important point is how much internal storage and RAM you are getting for the price. And if we start with the Honor 7C, for rupees 10,000, you're just getting 3 gigabytes of RAM and 32 GB of internal storage. That's the same case even with this Redmi Y2. You get 32 GB of internal storage and 3 gigabytes of RAM. And that's the same case even for the Asus Zenfone Max Pro, which is priced at 11,000. But the Realme, the one that is priced for 11,000, comes with 4 gigabytes of RAM and 64 GB of internal storage. So clearly the maximum storage and RAM you are getting with this one. Now let's move to the most interesting category, which one has the better camera. And to do this, what I have done is I've taken all these 4 smartphones and taken snaps side by side. So I'll show you all these snaps side by side so that you can judge which of these is doing a better job. I have taken sample shots in outdoor lighting conditions, indoor lighting conditions. So here are the sample shots. So these are the pictures side by side. First, the outdoor shot, and as you can see on the left we have the Realme One, and on the right we have the Zenfone Max, and the colored skin tones are definitely better on the Realme One. And if we zoom in, notice that grill in the background. It's a lot more clearer and sharper compared to the Zenfone Max Pro. Now this is the Redmi Y2. Again, very similar results. As you can see, I look a lot darker and the skin tones are definitely darker. It's not able to handle the exposure in this lighting conditions. Now let's zoom in to that grill and see how the Redmi Y2 did. And clearly even the Y2 didn't do a good job here. Now here is this Honor 7C, and it did slightly better, I would say, compared to the Zenfone and the Y2. But again, when we zoom in, even the Honor 7C does not have that much detail. Now moving to the bokeh mode, the Realme One also does this bokeh mode, and here is the Zenfone Max, and I feel the Zenfone Max is doing a better job in this situation. And this is the Realme Y2, but I feel in this portrait mode, it zooms in quite a bit, and the telephoto lens makes the picture a little bit darker if you're not careful. The Honor C has this wide aperture mode, and I set the aperture to f2, so this is the bokeh mode with the Honor 7C. Now moved inside, and these are sort of ideal lighting conditions. And here is Realme One, and this is the Asus Zenfone Max Pro. Frankly, I felt that this Zenfone Max Pro didn't do a good job. And here is the Redmi Y2. The Y2 did a lot better job, but again, look at the exposure. The Realme One did a far better job. And this is the Honor 7C, and frankly I feel this did a very poor job in terms of colors and contrast. Now this is in the bokeh mode, Realme on the left and the Zenfone Max on the right, and I feel the Zenfone Max colors and contrast look very off in my frank opinion. Here is the Redmi Y2. It did a far better job, but again, in terms of the picture is slightly too dark to my liking. And this is the Honor 7C. In terms of background blur, it's decent, but again, the problem is in the colors and the contrast. Now moving to the front facing camera, and these were taken in artificial lighting, and clearly the Realme One is producing better results than the Asus Zenfone Max Pro. And here is a comparison with the Y2, and again, if you notice the face, look at the details are slightly better on the Realme One. This was with the Honor 7C, and I feel the colors are too dark and oversaturated with the Honor 7C. These smartphones can also do bokeh mode with the front facing camera, and here are the samples. And the Zenfone Max Pro did a very poor job. And here is the Y2, which actually did slightly better than the Zenfone Max. But again, if you look closely, clearly the Realme One is better. The Honor 7C cannot do that bokeh mode with the front facing camera. So guys, the camera results were actually very surprising even to me. And the thing what I liked about the Realme One's camera was that the skin tones in varying light conditions, it produced the best looking skin tones. So to sum it up, I would say if your budget is around 11,000, the clear winner would be the Realme One. Yes, the biggest flaw of the Realme One is that it does not have the fingerprint scanner. I think so that's the biggest flaw, and you have to rely on that face unlocking. But apart from that, if you look at other features, for example, it has the fastest chip, that is the Helio P60. And again, in terms of RAM and storage also, it goes ahead. And also it has the 5 GHz Wi-Fi band and true dual 4G VoLTE. And even the camera performance is actually really good. So the clear winner, I would say, among these would be the RealMe One for me. And I would say the runner-up, if performance is important, would be the Zenfone Max Pro. But again, if camera is again a high lighting for you, the second runner-up would be the Redmi Y2. Again, guys, thanks for watching this video. This is Ranjit, and I hope to see you in my next video. And if you're still not subscribed to my YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. This is Ranjit, and I hope to see you in my next video. Take care, guys.